Namaskara folks, I haven't been on the Charmadi route to Mangalore in a while. And on the last time around, I noticed some road work etc. happening. I want to check out what the route is like, and I thought this vlog would also be helpful for those of you who want to know what the Charmadi route is like at this point in time. So stick around to this vlog till the end. I'm always looking forward to my visits to Mangaluru. There's something about going back to the place of your roots. It's a joy to be in a place like this. Lower the window. Take in the fresh air. Oh, paisa kuda ide. Well, that looks quite nice. You got some buttermilk there, there's some curd. That's probably the sambar, bendekai, sambar, palya, tondekai, Bengal gram. We have a rasam, some kurma, and a paisa, Akki Rotti, nice and warm. Wow, that looks beautiful. So amazing. You feel like you're on top of the world. Oh. So the first 300 kilometers were fine from Mangaluru to here. But now the next 79 kilometers, I think up until we reach Bantwal Cross. Bottom line, the Charmadi route is still very... Namaskara folks and welcome back to the channel. I'm on my way to Mangaluru and it's always a happy time for me whenever I am returning to Kudla. Driving solo, there's nobody else in the car. I have some work in Mangaluru, Udupi. And today is the 12th of March, a Wednesday, and I thought I'd spend the next 3 days in South Canara getting my work done. But in the meantime, I've decided to shoot this vlog. Now, many of you may have seen my drive vlogs towards Mangaluru. I've done the Charmadi route, I've done the Shiradi route. I also did the drive via Sampaje, and all that was about roughly a year ago. And on the last time around when I was returning via Charmadi, I noticed some road work etc. happening. Since then the monsoons have also happened, and usually there is always some change, some development on these ghat routes. So this morning as I drive to Mangaluru, I've decided to take the Charmadi route and vlog through my drive, just to give you a sense of what the Charmadi route is like as I filmed this in March of 2025. I've just driven past the Belur Cross toll. The route is going to be fairly straightforward. We find our way to Hassan, take a right towards Belur, and at Mudigere we turn left towards Banakal, Kotigehara, and then descend the Charmadi Ghat into South Canara. It's about 11:20 in the morning. I'm also looking forward to a spot of lunch somewhere along the way. There's a place that I've been meaning to check out for a while, and if I do happen to stop there, I'll also include that in this vlog. So stick around till the end of this drive vlog. This should be interesting. I'm always looking forward to my visits to Mangaluru. There's something about going back to the place of your roots. We're about 26 kilometers from Hassan and about 83 kilometers or an hour and 46 minutes from our lunch stop. So for lunch I'm planning to stop at this place called Growers Cafe, which is en route very close to Ujire. And I did stop for coffee there some time ago when I was driving back from Chitaki estate, that homestay that I stayed in. I'm sure you've got the vlogs here. So at that point I had made a note that if I'm in the area someday to stop there for lunch. I'm on my intermittent fast now, so I have not eaten anything. So I'm getting to that stage where I'm beginning to feel hungry. You know, that's a strange thing. When I'm at home, I usually at times break my fast only around 2:30, 3:30. But I guess when you're traveling, you're on the road, you're focused on what's coming at you. I guess that consumes a lot of energy as well. I don't know, or it may be just the excitement of being on a road trip. So I'm certainly feeling hungry. It's about 11:53 and I still have an hour and 45 minutes of driving till I get there. Listening to some music, catching up with some of the artists that I haven't listened to in a long time, like Dire Straits. I don't know if you can hear this. I hope I don't get a copyright strike. What I also like about driving solo, I can listen to stuff that I want to listen to. When you're with somebody else in the car, you obviously have to pander to everyone. So for me, these solo drives are a good opportunity. Just touched 120, that's why it was beeping away. To me, these solo drives are a good opportunity to actually just reconnect with myself, introspect, and find the space to do that. Of course, without getting too carried away, because I'm focusing on the road for the most part. Nice drive up till now. I left home only around close to 9. I've been driving for nearly 3 hours now, and I've done about 170 kilometers thus far. Anyway, I'll see you a little later in the vlog. We're at Hassan now, just taking the infamous Hassan ring road. Infamous I say because, not because of anything else, but just because of the 20 odd speed breakers that you will find on that stretch that connects you from NH75 to Belur Road. That tree looks beautiful. It has shed all its leaves, but still looks majestic. So we are on the Hassan Ring Road. This I think is a 9-kilometer stretch, and we are approaching the first of the many speed breakers that I'll find on this. I think this is the 8th speed breaker in the last 5 minutes, and I'm not exaggerating. So what they've done is, wherever there is a cross, a lane intersects this ring road, they've made sure they've got a speed breaker on either side. I guess that's the way it rolls out here in Hassan on the ring road. Speed breaker number 10. I think I'll see you a little later on the route. One way I can tell when I'm approaching Belur is all these Adivasi hair oil kiosks on the side of the road. There are at least 50 stalls, if not more, all peddling the same oil. And I've seen them for years, so I'm sure they do enough business to sustain themselves. So I guess people are buying, and I guess perhaps this hair oil works. I mean, not that I'm going to try it, but it's always funny. The things one sees and notices when one's on the road. Go straight, we go towards Cheekanahalli. If you want to go to Halebeedu, take a right here. Because Halebeedu and Belur are famous for the temples. Although I must confess I haven't seen them yet. Sometimes the places that are in your, that are closest to you, you tend to kind of say, okay, I'll see it some other time. Also, a lot that happens with relationships as well, right? The ones closest to you sometimes get taken for granted because you see them day in and day out. But those that don't really matter sometimes, and you make so much of an effort. Such is the irony of things. Anyways, Also because I prefer to do these drives on a weekday, the traffic situation is very, very manageable. I've done 212 kilometers in roughly about 3.5 hours of driving, which is not bad at all. We've entered coffee country now, even as we're about 20 odd kilometers from Mudigere. So you have estates on the left and right. It's a joy to be in a place like this. Lower the window. Take in the fresh air. We're about 4 minutes from lunch and about 20 kilometers from Mudigere. I just love the look of these houses with the Mangalore tiles. A certain charm to it. We're in a place called Cheekanahalli, which is where this grower's house is located. I don't know what to expect. I hope there's something tasty for lunch. This is interesting. We got an indoor-outdoor section, and then I think it leads back to the estate. So if I'm not mistaken, this perhaps is part of the estate. I met up with some folks who've been here already, and they said that the meals are good. I saw somebody doing an Akki Rotti and somebody doing a gobi manchuri. Not sure what I'm going to try, but perhaps the Akki Rotti.
Puri meals. 8 piece puri ಬರುತ್ತೆ rice, sambar, right?
ಪಲ್ಯ ಏನಿದೆ ಇವತ್ತು?
ತೊಂಡೆಕಾಯಿ ಪಲ್ಯ ಇದೆ.
ತೊಂಡೆಕಾಯಿ ಪಲ್ಯ. ಸರಿ, ನನಗೆ ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ ಅಕ್ಕಿ ರೊಟ್ಟಿ ಕೊಡಿ.
ಒಂದು ಪ್ಲೇಟ್ ಅಕ್ಕಿ
Akki Rotti meals.
ಮೀಲ್ಸ್, ಒಂದು ಅಕ್ಕಿ ರೊಟ್ಟಿ ಮೀಲ್ಸ್.
Also things like a kesari baat, chapati kurma, parota kurma, pulav, dosa as well, but I guess it's only in the morning and in the evenings. And this is what we're having now. An Akki Rotti meals, 130. Well, there's some dessert as well. I like the feel of the cafe. It looks very clean, very organized. Even the loo that's most important when you're on the highway is clean. Not very big, but clean and just what you need when you're on the road. They also have a nice section out there, a shop where they sell some of the stuff that's grown in the estate. You got pepper, cardamom, and things like that. Thank you. Oh, paisa kuda ide. Well, that looks quite nice. You got some buttermilk there. There's some curd. That's probably the sambar, bendekai, sambar, palya, tondekai, Bengal gram. We have a rasam, some kurma, and a paisa, akki roti, nice and warm. There's a hapala and a katori of anna, and some uppinkai as well. Nice and soothing. Can I get some more buttermilk? Buttermilk. Thank you. Got the seasoning of the mustard seeds. The tondekai is nice and tender, not overripe. That's a good palya. Get some of the kurma as well. There's some bottle gourd, I think, in that. Some carrot, some potatoes too, I suppose. The combination of that akki roti and that sagu, quite nice. There's a tinge of sourness somewhere in that sagu. I'm not sure if it's a tamarind or perhaps some lemon juice, but quite tasty. That Majjiga is nice. So apparently meals you get one Akki Roti, but I want an extra one. That palya is quite nice. With the Bengal gram, the tondekai and loads of coconut. Thank you. I had to get some extra palya as well. And some sagu too. These are the sort of places that you need. Simple, no fuss sort of places, but nicely appointed, very clean, painted in white. The tiles are nice and bright, and there's not even the slightest hint of dirt or grime anywhere. It kind of makes you feel good when you stop at a place like this. Thank you. Bisi Akki Roti. Quite nice. The toasted flavor that perhaps comes from that Akki Roti being finished on the open flame. Quite enjoying both the sagu and the tondekai palya. I wonder what this bendekai sambar is like. Slightly on the spicy side. The ladyfinger has soaked up the gravy quite well. Certainly a meal that I would order the next time too. It's as good as that. And it's a sort that doesn't feel too heavy, especially if you're going without the rice. The Akki Roti is also the sort that's quite nice and light. Almost like a fulka. So I've eaten two, but it's barely made any dent in my fasting stomach. I'm going to be a bit embarrassed, but I'm going to call for a third roti as well. One more single. Give me one more single Akki Roti.
One more single.
Every dish that I'm tasting here has that very homely sort of a flavor to it. When this upinkai doesn't feel like a store-bought upinkai, a lemon pickle. Akki Roti number 3. Thank you. That is really a good Akki Roti, and this one's super hot. And this time it's some of that sambar, the lady's finger sambar. Quite nice. The sambar would have gone better with the anna, but I didn't want to eat any rice and feel a little drowsy at the wheel. I think there's perhaps also a touch of jaggery somewhere in one of the preparations. Oh, nice. That chili in that rasam feels quite warming. Also plenty of the kai, the coconut, and some bellulli. Thankfully I have no one sitting in the car. Well, I had my heart set on finishing my meal with this paisa, with the vermicelli, some sabakki, godambi, but they said I should also taste their cafe special, which is a tender coconut souffle. So I think I'm going to taste this before I get to the paisa, because once I taste the paisa, I'm sure there's some tuppa too that's gone into it. I'm not going to be able to taste any of that souffle. Quite nice, very cooling. Especially for summer, I think this would be the ideal dessert to have if you've been on the road for a while. I also got a sliver of the tender coconut in that. Quite nice and creamy. But I want to get to the paisa. The paisa is a more traditional thing around these parts. What I also like here is that some of that vermicelli is nice and toasted. There's some cardamom, and I think also some of the edible camphor that's gone into this, the pacha karpura. It's a bit of the sticky bite that comes from the sabbaki, from the sago pearls. Oh, that's hot. Which is always a good start. I like my coffee hot. So when you're at a place called Grover's Cafe, you're expecting the coffee to hit the spot. I think this is probably a coffee that's more Arabica led. That's at least the mouthfeel that I get. It's Arabica, right? So by the mouthfeel, I know that this is more like an Arabica. So my hunch was right. So this is basically an 80-20. So 80 coffee, 20 chicory, but led by the Arabica. So you won't get that big mouthfeel that you sometimes look forward to in a coffee in these parts. So if you find yourself around here and you want to taste some good Akki Rotti, oota, with some palya, with some sambar, I would definitely recommend this as a pit stop. Well, so you can also pick up some pepper, cardamom and more coffee if you choose to here at Grover's Cafe. I quite enjoyed my Akki Rotti oota. Well, Horanadu is 79 kilometers, Dharmasthala is 79, Kudremukha 91, Sringeri 106, and Mangaluru is about 135 kilometers. It shows about 3.5 hours, and I don't think we're going to stop anywhere else along the way, so I guess we should be making good time. Definitely a recommended pit stop, Grover's Cafe. I think what's important is the environment of the place. It's very clean. You've got that indoor-outdoor sort of vibe. You can sit inside the restaurant. They also have a gazebo where you can sit. You can perhaps take a bit of a stroll under the trees. It's part of an estate. Service too is a sort that is quite pleasant. There's a monkey on the road with a baby. Please don't feed monkeys on the road. I know I've said this earlier. I'm not saying everybody feeds, but whosoever feeds. Because you feed monkeys on the road, they come to the road in search of food. But their food is in the forest, in the estates. That's where they can find the food, all the food they need. So you're changing their habits, and that is not safe for them. Besides the fact that you're making them eat processed food, but they also lose their natural habitat. And it's very unsafe with all the vehicles and things like that. So anyways, where was I? Yes, so en route now to through Banakal, hit Kotigehara. Before Banakal, of course, I will hit Mudigere town, take a left there towards Banakal, Kotigehara, and then descend the ghat towards Charmadi before finding our way in South Canara, Dakshina Kannada. A bit of the twisties on this stretch as well, which is nice because it's going to keep me awake. You saw I didn't eat any of the rice because rice, when you eat, you have that tendency to just feel a little sated and therefore feel a little lethargic. And you don't want that lethargy to convert to drowsiness. It's suddenly become a little cloudy, especially as we are approaching the mountains. I don't know if you can see in the distance, but I think one of them is Devramane Betta, which is where I did a vlog as well some time ago when I was in Chitaki Estate in Banakal, a town that we just passed by. If I remember, I'm going to link it below. There's so much beauty here in the Western Ghats that definitely needs to be explored. As we drove past Mudigere, From the estate country, you come into these open fields. Right now there's nothing, but I'm sure come monsoon there'll be paddy. And then you have the mountains in the distance. I'm not sure if it's going to rain, but the clouds certainly look dark and heavy. There's some notices here, perhaps pointing to the road conditions as we exit Mudigere. This is the last town before the ghats and the descent to Charmadi. This time of the year it is still quite lush and verdant, although the hue of the green has changed. It's no longer that very refreshing sort of a lush green, but it's still quite verdant. I think the upper tops of the hills you can see that the greens are slowly making way to the browns, and that will only intensify as summer sets in completely. You can see that up there in the distance. Well, so far so good. I just saw a police checkpost there. They would have stopped me, but I think they noticed the cameras mounted on the windshield, mounted on the car, and so they didn't bother stopping me. But what would they stop me for? Beats me. Did I speak too soon? Oh, I think this is where there must have been a landslide. I can see some sacks that have been piled up there to shore up the hillside. All the vegetation in these ghats have just cooled the temperature down. Wow, that looks beautiful. So amazing. You feel like you're on top of the world. You've got all the hills in the distance below. Amazing. And of course there's an ice cream truck that's perched just at the right location for selfies and an ice cream. Look at that, monkeys being fed. I think over a period of time the ghats have become quite tame. I guess as the roads have expanded, have widened, those sharp curves no longer exist. So if you're somebody who's looking for a thrill in the Western Ghats, well, Charmadi even is much better than Shiradi that way. But I think Agumbe Ghat still has those very steep sort of inclines. I've got a vlog on the Agumbe Ghat drive as well. So if I remember, I'll link it up. But do look it up on the channel. That's quite a exhilarating drive too. Whereas here, barring a couple of curves, everything is quite smoothened out with the road work, the expansion and things like that. that was a steep one. I didn't see that coming. So I think I'll take back my words. There still is a certain degree of complexity. It looks simple, then you have these curves, and on the inside of the road it kind of drops a bit incline wise, so you got to be a little careful there, especially as you can see along these curves. There's still plenty of curves coming up ahead. I'm not going to film all of it, but you get the gist. I take back my words. Charmadi still does retain a bit of that thrill. Still does retain the thrill of driving through the ghats. And that even over a longish period of time. That was nice. We've got one more sharp hairpin bend to the left. The challenge on these ghats is sometimes, many a times you get people who are not so used to driving in the ghats. And being not used to driving in the ghats is one thing. Everybody starts from a level of inexperience, of course. But inexperience combined with overconfidence can be dangerous. So these guys come in with a lot of confidence on the wrong side of the road. And that's when things can get tricky, especially if the ghats look like this. That monkey's baby is barely a few days old, already accompanying the mum to forage for food on the road. So sad. Immediate hairpin on the right and the left. Personally, I like this route because of these ghats. It's quite fun to take advantage of the rolls. All okay?
Yeah, just stop for hydration.
Okay, great. I just met that, you'll see the biker on the 360 camera. I met him at Grover's Cafe. He's got a brand new KTM 390 Adventure. The motorcycle looks very good. And he's on his way to Puttur, if I'm not mistaken. Or Mulki. I'm not sure, either one of the two. There he goes. The sense of freedom that you get when you're on the motorcycle, that's something else altogether. Driving is better than flying, but motorcycling, that will be fun. We're at Charmadi. So, fairly good roads through the ghats, barring one or two small little spots. The route is certainly fine up until now. Now what I'm curious to know is, the last time around there was some road work happening around Guruvayur. I just saw a board here which says road work in progress. I'm hoping that they've finished most of it, but I think I spoke too soon. Oh. So the first 300 kilometers were fine from Mangaluru to here. But now the next 79 kilometers, I think up until we reach Bantwal Cross, I think there's a fair bit of road work happening here. This is currently Charmadi. was a small stretch there. So they're doing this road highway widening work here. We seem to have hit a heavy stretch of road work here. Today is a weekday, so there's not too much traffic at all. But on a weekend, perhaps it could be a little different. But it's not really bad. You have a bit of that stretch and then you hit a clear road. Although there's work happening on the side, you've got 2 lanes to use. I was expecting it to be a lot worse, honestly. Sometimes people tell you all sorts of things. Only when you actually take the route or do it, that's when you realize what the actual situation is. It's like the Chinese whispers, right? So somebody says this much of the route is bad, and by the time it goes across people, it seems like the entire route is bad, which definitely isn't the case. That was a bit of a rough stretch. We're about 11 kilometers from Ujire. I think as we're approaching Ujire, the road work seems to be more and more. They're working on some bridges here, so that will take some time. So I suppose this is going to be like this for a few months. We just crossed Ujire a short while ago. Ujire is basically the first major town that happens once you cross Charmadi. So although there were some stretches where there's road work happening, but you would still get 2 lanes. But out here now, maybe about 5 kilometers past Ujire, well, the roads are still being built. So right now it's dry summertime, so I suppose it's fine. And I guess by monsoons they should hopefully have this ready. But the roads are going to be quite wide once they complete it. But nothing that I would still term as major inconvenient. Of course, also I am in the chimney, so this is quite cool for me. But if you're in a smaller car, some of these stretches may probably shake you a bit. We're about 29 kilometers from Kripal crossroad, which is where we will meet the highway going towards Mangaluru. And we've crossed Ujire, Beltangadi. Where are we? Can't really make out where we are. I wish we had better signages through as you drive or ride. You have to literally look for the establishments which have the name of the place on it, and then you know where you are. I think that's one area where we are really poor. I still don't know where we are, but anyway, we've crossed Beltangadi, and I must say that most of the stretch is fine, but there are certain areas where the road is extremely bad. They're not very long, fortunately. They are a bit bad, they are a bit rough. But I'd say it's like after Charmadi up until now, I've done 329. So maybe out of the last 30 kilometers, maybe 10 kilometers may have been bad. So it's really still very manageable. It's not a big issue at all. Here, for instance, you see that most of the road work is done as we are heading towards Guruvayonkere. Or have we crossed Guruvayonkere already? I'm not sure. But the last time around when I was on this stretch, it was quite bad. So it's obvious that they've made progress. So in terms of drive time, up until now, the engine has been running for about 7 hours, and it's got I've got 1 hour 18 minutes more to go. So that's roughly about 8 hours 18 minutes on this route. But I also stop at a few places with the engine running to set the cameras and reload batteries, etc. So maybe you take half an hour out of that. So roughly this route would take you about 7.5 hours to 7 hours 45 minutes of drive time. And then you add the amount of time that you want to spend for your lunch stop, coffee stop, etc. And my pace of driving is fairly easy. On the main highways up until Hassan, it's roughly about 90-100 is what I typically do. If I get some stretch where I can do a little more, I do that, but it's roughly around 100. And this stretch you can't really go beyond 60-80 and things like that. On Charmadi Ghat, of course, you're slowing down much more than that. So it's a very easy sort of a pace driving, and that's about 7.5 hours, 7 hours 45 minutes. We've got another stretch where the road work is still happening. So these are the kind of stretches that you will get every once in a while. Some a little longer, that you may have to just deal with. If you have an SUV, you'll be fine. If you have one of the smaller cars, then you could get thrown around a bit in the car, but nothing too bad, I would say. I'm still trying to figure out one signage which tells me where I am. You can see here some of the road work has already happened, is almost ready, but the other half is still quite kacha. And out here they've actually excavated through the hillside, and that's what's probably taken a lot of time as well. The only thing that I feel sorry about is that we're losing so much of nature. You know, all that vegetation and all of that. Natural air filters help trap the water, all of that we're losing. And therefore I guess we are also seeing a lot more landslides and things like that on the ghats during the monsoons. Anyways, I've done 8,734 kilometers on the Jimny thus far. I must say that I'm not regretting this purchase even a bit. For all the grief that I got as to why I didn't pick up the other SUV, you know which car I'm talking about. It's unflappable, the Jimny. On the highways, I'm cruising at 100, I'm overtaking, I'm doing all of that. I can even push it to 120 or so. On these rough roads, well, it just holds its ground. Off-roading I've done, and the same stock tires. I don't see one reason why this car should not be selling much more than what it does in India. Internationally, it's a bestseller, but out here, unfortunately, I think people still want that huge presence. They want a truck, not a nimble SUV. Anyways, I'm digressing. But wow, this looks amazing. This hill looks so verdant. I hadn't noticed this earlier. So if you take a right here, you go to Mudigere. But we're on the way to Bantwal Cross Road. So my arrival in Mangalore shows at 6:30 p.m. I still have about 43 kilometers to go in 1 hour of driving. So roughly around 8 hours is what you should plan if you're driving this route to Mangaluru. Bottom line, the Charmadi route is still very doable. Just a few stretches, short stretches of bad roads. So I hope you enjoyed being with me on this drive to Mangaluru. I think it's going to be pretty uneventful from now on till the time that I hit Kudla. So therefore I think it's also a good time to say goodbye. If you found this vlog useful, do give it a thumbs up. Share it with friends and family who make the stretch, who make this drive. Do look up my earlier drive vlogs. I'm going to link them in the description below. And don't forget to subscribe and follow for more content on the Kripal Amanna vlogs channel. Out here, it's my motorcycling trips, road trips, and of course, plenty of travel. I hope you enjoyed being with me. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.